There are a few different things that, in my opinion, are most important when you're building a cinematic universe. I'm not gonna sit here and act like these things are everything that matter or anything like that. They're just things that, to me, make a movie universe better. Matt Reeves' Batman universe is only a couple of years old, and it only consists of the Batman, the Penguin, and a couple like other supporting novels and comics and shit. Already though, it started to separate itself from other attempts at connected universes. There's numerous different things that the Penguin has done to further enhance the Batman universe, but for example, one of my favorites is that it solidified the fact that Matt Reeves' Batverse has the best Gotham. The show takes us to other parts of Gotham that the movie didn't take us to. It showed us more of the nasty slums, the poverty-stained neighborhoods. It's the Gotham that feels the most like Gotham should feel. Gray, lifeless at times, absolutely draining of any kind of hope because that's how it feels to live there. Riddler just flooded the city, Killer Croc just swam by my crib the other day and ripped my uninsured car in half, and then the Joker put a bomb in my basement and now I'm homeless and forced to work for Black Mass to feed my kid. Ain't shit to smile about. It's a depressing, miserable hellhole that I wouldn't call lifeless, but I definitely say it makes you want to give up on life. Reeves and the cinematographers of this universe absolutely get it. Don't get me wrong, they have their beautiful sunrise and sunset shots here or there, as if to say that there's glimpses of a better future for Gotham, hope that one day it can be dragged out of its misery. But most of the time it's grim, often rainy, and overall blech. The Dark Knight trilogy's Gotham didn't really capture the gloom of Gotham the way it's captured in The Batman and the Penguin. Even the Penguin's Arkham is one of my favorite depictions of the asylum. I feel like with the Joker busting out every other week in the comics and Batman's rogues going in and out like it's a porta potty and not a high security prison / mental health facility filled with actual maniacs, a lot of Batman fans don't take it seriously. It doesn't help that we always see Arkham from Bruce's point of view, and there's nothing in there that's really gonna scare him for real, for real. Here we have the point of view of an innocent woman, and it's honestly horrifying. Creepy, insane people, freaky sounds and screams, terrifying stares. It's enough to drive someone insane. No, not a good one. Alright, my fault. Another thing it did perfectly was interweave itself into the Batman's plot. Carmine strangled Annika and admitted to strangling Selina's mother as he tried to strangle Selina herself in the movie, connecting directly to Penguin's hangman plot. We even got hints at Penguin's pitiful image when he tries to flaunt his reputation and Batman basically clowns him and says, "Do you even know the things people say about you?" Speaking of odds though, the best thing the Penguin did for the Batman's universe was give us a recurring villain that's almost entirely and disgustingly unsympathetic. Falcone is already dead, and you could make a case for Riddler having somewhat of a point, even though the decision to just blow shit up was where he really started tweaking. I don't know why he did all that extra shit. Penguin, though, is funny, because on paper he should be sympathetic. Boo-hoo, little poor chubby fat kid stuck in the ghetto who wants to be something to make his mama proud. Under normal circumstances, this would be a sympathetic villain story where you know he does bad stuff, but you still kind of feel sorry for him. But the show makes sure you understand that this guy is a selfish psychopath who doesn't care about anyone but himself and was an evil little shit since he was a kid. Murdered his brothers and smiled about it when he was a kid because he was jealous. Let a random kid get murdered to cover his own ass. Tried to manipulate and use Sophia when she got free after getting her thrown in Arkham in the first place. The worst scene of all was when they were literally cutting his sick mother's finger off to force him to tell the truth. And instead of just coming clean, he continued to lie to his very last breath. At no point did he ever show any inclination of folding. It was insane to watch. The person he claimed to care about the most was getting diced up like carrots, and he still continued to cap his ass off. That's how I used to lie to my mama when she asked for my report card, digging in my book bag, acting like I didn't toss that shit in the trash the second I stepped out the building. I used to tell her they was mailing it home after ripping it up. I remember she used to believe me, and she was waiting for my first semester report card all the way till March. Y'all won't believe how bad I got my ass beat when she finally called the school. Son, I had a 24 in algebra in 8th grade. She almost put me in a headlock while talking to my advisor. I ain't never felt fear like that in my life. Anyways, to put it simply, I was an ugly ass piece of shit. Time and time again, we get villains that do all this horrible shit, and then they hit you with the backstory and their father was abusive and he used to body slam them through metal tables or something, and they were so poor and traumatized and you feel so bad for them, and then they're not so bad no more. But here, the villain was awful since they were a child, and despite the moments where you can have some sympathy for him where he tries to take care of his fading mother, that's all negated when he shows his true colors in the decisive moments. It doesn't matter that he quote-unquote cares for his mom, because when he had to choose between his mom and his own selfish, pointless lie, He chose his lie. Even after his mom told him she already knew, he still tried to gaslight her. He's actually a lunatic. Him murdering Victor was the last straw because it was him actively choosing to not be a sympathetic villain. His mom was a vegetable but safely kept away, at least until Batman comes flying through that window at 50 miles an hour, showers her with glass, and shocks her directly into the afterlife. Either way, Victor was really the only thing left keeping Oz human in a sense. Oz didn't want to genuinely care for anyone because, as we saw with his mom, it could be used against him, and he didn't want to be put in a situation again where he had to sacrifice a shot at power and wealth just to save someone he cared about. I feel like a lot of people have interpreted him killing Victor as him never caring for him at all, but I don't think so. I think the conversation made him realize that he was actually getting somewhat attached to Victor, and he wanted to cut that off before it could get any further. I guess you could make the case that it's impossible to care for someone that you literally killed, but I feel like it's not as simple as that. Oz had a choice between someone he was starting to care for and his own greed and ambition. Him killing Vic was him choosing his own greed and ambition and deciding to fully become a monster. In his own sick and twisted way, his murder of Victor kinda demonstrated that he actually had cared for him and he didn't like that he did. Oz's desperation to be praised, respected, and feared is exactly why throughout the show, we constantly see him trying his hardest to emulate something he didn't naturally have. A lot of the things Oz does in the show, he directly copied from Carmine because Carmine was everything he wanted to be. Remember that first conversation with Alberto where Alberto says Carmine knew Oz was stealing from him, but he let him rock because he knew it boosted Oz's ego, and that kept Oz exactly where Carmine wanted him, as his lapdog. Oz steals that philosophy and uses the bosses and their underlings' pride and ambition to manipulate them into working with him. Him and Vic then later use the same strategy to turn the underlings against their bosses. When Maroni keels over and has a heart attack in front of him, Oz takes his ring just like Carmine took his ring. When he kills Vic, he even chokes him out like Carmine does to his victims. When the fuck have we ever seen Oz choke somebody out before in the show? He's nothing but a pretender, an imitator. One of the last scenes of the show, he's putting on a goofy-ass fit trying to look spiffy to adapt to his new place in society. He's a chameleon. He can adapt to any situation, be whatever he needs to be to wiggle his way out of anything. We see this in his meetings with Maroni. When he first goes to the prison, he's a simpering suck-up acting like he's doing Sal favors. By the next meeting, he's straight up threatening him. During the hijack plan, he switches sides multiple times and even kills the men he was supposed to be working with, and he got away clean because both sides actually believed he was working with them and he was careful in his betrayal. This was a thing since all the way back in the Batman. The second Carmine was in cuffs, he switched on him. How much you want to bet if he didn't get shot and his corrupt cops set him free, Oz would have been right back where he was before, dick eating. There's so many movies and shows that don't understand how to make a villain that's completely evil and a horrible person, but also has some aspects of his backstory that are sympathetic. Half the time, they just end up making them too sympathetic and they become anti-heroes. The Penguin created a full-on monster and showed us his entire journey from a murderous little fat kid to all the faint flashes of humanity to him choosing to completely shed that humanity and become something entirely different. The best and worst part about it is Oz's ascension doesn't even feel earned, but that's who his character is. He got by cheating, lying, betraying, playing dirty, and sheer luck. It's what makes us hate him even more. He was deadass getting beat the fuck up before Maroni quite literally dropped dead in front of him. Sophia had him snatched up and Vic had to save his hefty ass. He doesn't actually deserve to be where he eventually gets to. Colin Farrell's performance took this character to a whole different level too, by the way. The fact that he was still able to express so many slight emotions with facial expressions through all that makeup is insane. My favorite Penguin mannerism is the little squints he does when he's thinking or he's agitated. You can see it throughout the show. It's as if he's examining the other person, trying to figure out the best way to get in their head. Oz and Vic are the embodiments of the two kinds of criminals that Gotham creates. The greedy and ambitious ones, the ones with evil and malice in them that manipulate and use people to get what they want. And then the victims, the Annikas, the Vics, the people that are molded by their environment and get taken advantage of by people like the Penguin. It's what Selena was talking about in the Batman. Not everyone has a choice. Not all criminals are a penguin, but the ones that are, nasty pieces of work.